Last Christmas, 3 dirty tankers ferried sanctioned oil across the world, all cleared by a tiny insurer in New Zealand. Iranian crude, Russian crude, spoofed trackers, and a KIWI back office quietly signing them safe. How did a boutique desk become the shadow fleet's life support? Last Christmas, 3 very different tankers completed voyages that would expose an unexpected node in the global sanctions system. The tanker Yug slipped out of Qingdao after offloading 2 million barrels of Iranian crude. Near the Arctic, another vessel carrying Russian crude steamed toward India. And off Malaysia, a third tanker discharged Iranian oil. Different owners, different operators, different destinations, but a single common thread. All 3 had links to Maritime Mutual, a small New Zealand insurer that, according to a Reuters review of shipping and insurance records, had provided protection to vessels moving sanctioned cargoes. Maritime Mutual, formerly the Maritime Mutual Insurance Association, is run by 75-year-old Paul Rankin and family members. For more than 2 decades, the group has insured a range of commercial shipping, from tugs to ferries. But Reuters reporting, based on thousands of documents and more than 24 interviews, shows the firm also provided coverage to vessels within the so-called shadow fleet, tankers that conceal sanctioned cargoes by falsifying locations, changing names, and turning off automatic trackers. That coverage matters because in shipping, insurance is not optional. Without protection and indemnity P&I cover, a tanker is effectively dead in the water. As David Tannenbaum, director of sanctions consultancy, Blackstone Compliance Services, and a former U.S. Treasury sanctions specialist, put it,
P&I insurance is crucial for shadow fleet vessels to operate. Without that, they're dead in the water. Even Iranian and Russian ports aren't going to allow an uninsured vessel within their waters.
Reuters review found Maritime Mutual had at some point insured almost 1 in 6 of the shadow fleet tankers later sanctioned by Western governments. The scale uncovered by Reuters and the Center for Research on Energy and Clean Air is striking. Using leaked trader emails, port and registry data, and commercial trade databases, Reuters compiled a list of 231 tankers Maritime Mutual had covered since 2018. CREA concluded that 130 of those vessels had carried Iranian or Russian energy products after sanctions were imposed, and, by commodity value estimates, Maritime Mutual insured tankers had moved at least $18.2 billion of Iranian energy and $16.7 billion of Russian energy since sanctions regimes began. Maritime Mutual has repeatedly denied breaching sanctions. In a statement quoted to Reuters, the company said,
"We categorically reject engaging in conduct that breached any applicable international sanctions. We maintain a zero-tolerance policy on sanction breaches and operate under rigorous compliance standards designed to ensure full adherence to all applicable laws and regulations."
The firm also told Reuters it obtains attestations to verify compliance and, as of October 15, had added a specific sanctions warranty to all insurance quotes. Reuters found that language in an insurance certificate dated March 2025, but not in older documents.
Our board of directors had the day before resolved not to provide cover for any vessel identified by shipping intelligence providers Windward and Lloyd's List as being in the shadow fleet, nor for any vessel carrying Russian oil or refined petroleum products. All MMIA's activities have been in compliance with sanctions.
Whether by design or omission, the company's activities drew scrutiny. New Zealand authorities working with partners in Australia, Britain, and the United States opened inquiries after industry complaints. Police searched Maritime Mutual premises on October 16th and seized records, according to Reuters. 3 people were questioned, but no charges had been filed at the time of reporting. Complicating the picture are Maritime Mutual's reinsurance links. The firm spreads risk through global reinsurers, some operating inside the Lloyd's market and including major names. that creates potential contagion. If a P&I policy covers a ship that violates sanctions, reinsurers, brokers, and even countries can face enforcement exposure. As Walid Tahirkheli, a London sanctions lawyer, warned, reinsurers could face enforcement measures if the policies supported sanctioned cargo movements. Reuters investigations surfaced concrete examples that raised regulatory eyebrows. In one case, the tanker Feng Huang was sanctioned by Washington on February 24, 2025. Russian port records later showed the vessel with Maritime Mutual cover. The company said it had begun covering the ship on February 14th and cancelled the policy 10 days after the sanctions designation. Reuters also authenticated insurance documents for 7 tankers that confirmed Maritime Mutual as insurer. Yet the Shadow Fleet's tactics of turning off automatic identification systems, spoofing positions, and changing names made external oversight exceptionally difficult. Global Fishing Watch identified 274 instances between 2021 and mid-2025 in which ships insured by Maritime Mutual manipulated tracking data. Analyst Bjorn Bergman of Global Fishing Watch said,
It does seem surprising to me that a company from a country cooperating with US and European sanctions is insuring so many vessels that are spoofing their positions.
Maritime Mutual's revenue trajectory adds context. From modest sales through 2018, filings show revenues surged after sanctions intensified, a compound rise to $108.5 million in the latest year reported, driven in part, the company said, by a lift in reinsurer size limits that let it insure larger ships. Critics note the firm promoted business in Iran as early as 2016. An Iran shipping firm's website showed Maritime Mutual as a representative in Tehran as recently as September 30th, 2023. Regulators in New Zealand were prompted to act after an October 8, 2024 industry email urged the central bank to investigate Maritime Mutual's use of New Zealand as a base to give the company the facade of respectability. The central bank acknowledged the complaint and moved to coordinate inquiries. New Zealand later joined the coalition, enforcing the G7 Russian oil price cap in February 2024, heightening the stakes for compliance. Even governments reluctant to disclose investigative detail expressed concern. Britain's Treasury refused a Freedom of Information request, arguing that releasing compliance data could aid those seeking to evade sanctions.
However, in favor of withholding the information, we consider that release of the information would aid a criminal intent on circumvention or evasion.
The Maritime Mutual case illustrates a widening fault line in sanctions enforcement. Global financial and insurance webs, the opacity of ship registries, and the Shadow Fleet's technical tricks can blunt the effect of punitive measures. Whether regulators will piece together those threads and close the gaps, or whether the Shadow Fleet will reroute around oversight once more, remains the urgent question now facing capitals from Wellington to Washington.